Rank 1. The applicant. You find the listing on a government site at 1 in the morning. Operations officer. The description is vague on purpose. Collect foreign intelligence, serve your country, and the salary line is blank. You read it twice. You apply before you can talk yourself out of it. In your desk drawer, there's a plastic decoder ring you got from a cereal box when you were 7. It still turns. You used to believe it was a real spy's tool. You have never told a living soul that you kept it. The clearance takes most of a year. There's a polygraph in a windowless room, run by a man who watches a needle instead of your face. He asks the same question 4 ways. He asks about every man you've dated, about money, about whether you've ever thought of hurting someone. You take it 3 times, and you learn the first real lesson of the work right there in that chair. Telling the truth and being believed are 2 different skills, and only one of them is yours to control. You lose a job offer while you wait for the clearance to come through. You wait anyway. When the call finally comes, the voice on the line doesn't congratulate you. It tells you where to be on Monday and what not to bring. The day they bring you in, you sign your true name for what feels like the last time. After that, you are whoever the operation needs. You raise your right hand in a room with no windows and swear an oath nobody outside will ever hear you took. You walk out a person who, on paper, mostly doesn't exist. Your mother asks what the job is. You tell her it's paperwork for the government. It's the first lie of the rest of your life. It won't be the last. You get good at it fast. Rank 2. The trainee. They send you to a place the maps don't name, and everyone calls it the farm. You learn to read a street for the one face that keeps turning up. You learn to pass a folder to a stranger so that neither of you breaks stride. You learn to lie in a relaxed voice while your heart goes like a rabbit's. The brush pass. The dead drop. A signal left as a chalk mark on a wall. Small motions that move a secret between 2 people who never seem to meet. You drill each one until your hands stop thinking. The first time they run a surveillance exercise on you, you get made inside 6 minutes. You turn to check a reflection 1 beat too early. An instructor known to you only by a first initial says so afterward, flat like a weather report, and the tell was your own nerves showing on your face. So you drill the thing no classroom can hand you. You flatten everything. You make your face a closed door. They give you a cover legend on a Monday. A name, a childhood, a dead grandmother, a reason to be anywhere. And by Friday, you can be stopped at a checkpoint and answer every question without a flicker, because you have decided, all the way down, to be her. They put you through an interrogation drill at 3 in the morning, and you give them nothing, and you find out you can. You learn which lies hold under pressure and which ones crack. You crack the first time. You don't the second. The instructors never praise you. They just stop watching you so closely, which is the only praise the place hands out. By the end of the course, you can walk a route for an hour and turn in a clean report, and the watchers will swear you never knew they were there. Nobody tells you this part. The skill was never in the seeing. It's in not being seen. Rank 3. The case officer. Your first posting is overseas. Your title is operations officer. Your grade is GS11, and the pay is real but beside the point. The job is to find one human being who has access to something your country wants, and to make that person choose you. You spend 4 months on one man. A mid-level official who takes his coffee at the same cafe on Thursdays, who has a daughter in a school he can't quite afford. You don't rush him. You let him talk. You become the one person in his week who listens like it matters. And the part you'd rather not look at is that, to you, it does. The afternoon he agrees, he never says the word yes. He just slides a folder across the table and looks ill. And you keep your face easy and your hands still, and you understand that you have turned this man's life into something that can get him killed. You service the dead drop at midnight, a chalk mark on a lamppost, a package behind a loose brick. You write the cable, you sleep fine. That, the sleeping fine, is the part that should trouble you, and one day it will. The intelligence he gives you is good. Better than good. It moves up the chain with your name nowhere on it, exactly the way you want it. You meet him every few weeks in a different city. Each time he looks more tired. Each time you tell him it's nearly over. It isn't. You both pretend because the pretending is the only kindness the work leaves room for. The folder is the first of hundreds. None of them will carry your name. That's the deal. You made it gladly, and you'd make it again, and that ought to tell you something. Rank 4. The senior case officer. Senior case officer. More sources, more weight, a raise that doesn't come close to the cost. You're living 2 lives now, and only one of them exists on paper. At a dinner with people from your cover job, you tell a long story about a quarterly report. It lands, everyone laughs, and for one clean second, you have never felt more alone in a room. You have friends who don't know your real name. You have a name your friends don't know. On the bad nights, the ring rides in your coat pocket because it's the one thing you own that knows exactly who you are. You're good at this, better than the men who came up louder, and the reason you're good is that people forget you the second you leave. You used to mind being forgettable. Now you spend it like money. You learn to file a feeling the way you file a cable. Note it, code it, lock it in a drawer you'll open never. You miss your father's 60th because a source goes shaky and you can't leave the country. You send a card with a lie inside it. He believes it and calls to thank you. You let him. That's the job running exactly as designed, and the design is the wound, and you sign for the design with your eyes open. Rank 5, the Chief of Base. Chief of Base. 2 rooms in a country that watches you back, 3 officers under you, and a safe house you go home to with a stranger's photograph still on the wall. You learn to make a home out of a place you can't admit you live in. The hard call of the rank comes early. One of your sources starts producing intelligence that's a little too good, too clean, too timely. And you have to decide whether he's been doubled, whether the man you trust is feeding you what someone else wrote. You sit with it a week. You stop sleeping the easy sleep. You run the test that will burn him if you're wrong. You're not wrong. You don't feel clean about it anyway. You learn that command is mostly deciding who to stop trusting, doing it before you're sure, and then carrying whatever being right turns out to cost. The locker room warmth you had as a junior officer is gone. You're the one who signs the assessments now, and the others go quiet when you walk in. You learn the names of your officers, kids, and the fact that you'll be reassigned before any of them are grown. You learn to pack a whole station in a single night. You've done it twice. Home is wherever the safe is, and the safe is never home. Some nights, the place is so quiet you can hear the country breathing outside the shutters. You sit in it, you call no one. There's no one cleared to hear your voice that late. Rank 6, the Station Chief. Station Chief, a whole country's operation, cable traffic that never sleeps, a phone that can pull you out of bed for a crisis on the far side of the world. And this is the rank that finally puts a name on what the work takes. You've run one source for 3 years. The cafe man, older now, who calls you by the name you invented and trusts it the way you trust your own. Then a larger operation comes down from above, and protecting it means leaving him in place a few weeks past the point you both call safe. You see the danger plainly. You leave him in it. Not by accident. You choose it, clear-headed, the way you've trained yourself to choose. They take him on a Tuesday. Nobody briefs you with any blame. The cable is 3 lines long. You don't argue with it. You don't tell a soul that he used to bring you tangerines from his daughter's tree. You close the file and ask what's next. And the speed with which you ask is the thing that should frighten you, and doesn't. Some of what you carry was never written in a ledger. He's the heaviest line in yours, and you do it again, and that is the sentence you never finish out loud. His daughter writes to the embassy for a year. The letters get logged, filed, and never answered. You read every one of them. You answer none. That is the discipline. Holding the discipline turns out to be a heavier thing than the work itself, and nobody warns you that it is. Rank 7, the Division Chief. Division Chief. Back at headquarters now, a corner of the 7th floor, a dozen stations reporting up to you. And one night late, you finally add up the private bill. You were married once briefly to a man who never knew the half of what you did and couldn't, in the end, live inside the fog of it. You have a sister who thinks you do procurement for the State Department. You've missed funerals you couldn't explain missing. You've spent your whole adult life building a self so convincing that the real one has gone faint from lack of use. And you catch yourself some mornings having to stop and sort which of your stories are true. You keep little that has roots, a go bag, a clean phone, a name for every border. The ring is in a drawer again, in another country, still turning. It has never once needed a cover story. Some nights you take it out just to hold the only true thing you own. You keep a storage unit in 2 countries and a home in neither. You know the duty-free maps of 9 airports better than the street you grew up on. People your age are watching their kids leave for college. You are watching a feed from a city you can't name, alone, eating something cold, and you wouldn't trade it, and not being able to say why is its own quiet ache. You forget your own birthday 2 years running. Nobody reminds you. There's no one left who keeps the date. Rank 8, the Deputy Director for Operations. Deputy Director for Operations. You run the entire clandestine service now. Every officer, every asset, every operation under the flag. For most of this agency's life, a woman was allowed to read the intelligence, but not to go out and get it. The women before you were handed the typing and the filing and the watch lists, and told in so many words that the field was no place for them. You're the standing proof that was always a lie. The work is mostly weight at this altitude. You send people you've never met into places you can't say out loud, and some of them don't come home, and you sign the letters that hand their families a gentler, false version of how they died. You're good at carrying it. You've been good at carrying invisible things since you were a girl, with a cereal box ring she told no one about. The only thing that's changed is the size of what nobody can see. You brief the president in the morning, and you can't tell your own mother you were in the building. You sit on things the country would riot over, and you keep your face the way you kept it in that polygraph chair 30 years ago. Closed, easy, giving the needle nothing. You sleep 4 hours. You always have. You gave the rest away years back, one shift at a time, and never noticed the giving until it was gone. Rank 9, the Director. Then they hand you the whole agency. Director. The president names you, and the Senate fights about it on live television for a week, and the vote comes in 54 to 45, the closest margin for this chair in nearly 70 years. After a lifetime of being no one on purpose, your face is on every screen in the country. For 30 years, your power was that you could not be seen. Now you're the most photographed spy in America, and you've traded the one thing that ever kept you alive, being forgettable, for the chair. Most days you decide it was worth it. On your desk, in a spot no visitor would think to check, you keep a plastic ring from a cereal box. In the lobby downstairs, there's a wall of stars cut into marble, one for every officer killed in the line. And beside more than 100 of them, there is no name, only the star, because even their deaths stay classified. You have stood in front of that wall and known exactly which blanks belong to people you sent. No one will cut a star for you. You wouldn't want one. The ones like you were never meant to be on a wall at all. Nothing about the chair ever says thank you. You learned to stop needing it, said somewhere around the 2nd decade. So you spend the power the way you once spent the invisibility, carefully and on the women coming up behind you. The ones the agency still parks in the back rooms, the analysts it won't send into the field, the ones told it's no place for them. You move them out, into stations, into the chief jobs, into the rooms they were kept out of. It's slow. It doesn't make the news. You were one of them once, and you remember the exact words a man used. One of those women is running her own station before you leave the chair. You let her believe she earned it alone, because she did, and because the rest is yours to carry. The cover. For the first time in 2018, a woman ran the agency. She joined back in 1985, 28 years old, and spent almost her whole career undercover. So secret that for decades there was no public record she existed at all. Before her came the ones history barely bothered to write down. The OSS women, the wartime codebreakers, the analysts a government panel in 1953 decided were better suited to a desk. The agency is nearly half women today. The top of the clandestine service still isn't. Not quite. Not yet. These are the facts you carry the way other people carry a hometown. Somewhere tonight, a young woman sits at a long table at someone else's wedding, and a man asks what she does, and she hands him something gray and watches his attention drift off her toward the bar. It costs her nothing. She doesn't know yet that the nothing is a gift. In her pocket, kept there for a reason she couldn't explain to you, is a small, cheap thing from her childhood she's never shown a soul. You already know how this part goes. You were her once. She won't be seen. She'll keep the secret. Give it 20 years, and if the world keeps looking straight through her the way it looked through you, they'll hand her the whole thing, and they still won't remember her face. That was always the point. She was the first. She made certain she'll be the last.